Our next speaker is an encyclopedia, or maybe we should say an entire library of development knowledge. He has his hands around the big picture. Our next speaker is the Collier County Hearing Examiner and Chairman of the Collier County Planning Commission. His experience in construction, development planning, and land use spans over 40 years. His topic, appropriately enough, future growth in Collier County. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mark Strain.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank NABOR for inviting me here today, and this is one of the nicest venues I could have ever been in. Collier County, we've got a series of elements to this presentation. The first part is statistical, and then we get into the new development. But Collier County is made up of 5 commission districts. Commission districts are not set up geographically. They're set up by population, so each one is balanced to about 68,000 people. In this presentation, the first 3 will be overview, housing, and population. There'll be some general statistics to orientate you to the way the county's going right now and as it is today. Now, these are static. These were taken from government databases. They weren't taken from the most recent NABOR databases. I didn't have access to those, but the government databases were used and transformed into a digital element so we could total them and average them. We then get into new development. We have got tremendous new development in this county going on everywhere, and of course you feel it when you drive around. And you look around, and your clients probably come in and say, my goodness, I hope we got a handle on this infrastructure. We do. And then where it says under control, the last element today, that under control will show you how the county is managing its growth. In the meantime, between new development and under control, we have redevelopment. Redevelopment is a new element in Collier County. We haven't needed it before. We're not that old. Is it coming in strong? And we've got some new surprises there. Now, I'm going to move through this rather rapidly. As some of you may know from presentations I've given to your individual businesses, I tend to run over. And Jeff's going to watch me carefully today, so I'm going to try not to run over. He's staring at me right now. First good news item. Collier County was noted the happiest and healthiest community in USA 2 years in a row, 2015 and 2016. We have approximately 365,000 people as permanent residents in the county. Now that bumps up about 75,000. This year it seems like 175,000 during the tourist season. We've been extremely busy. Naples, Marco Island, and City of Everglades are all smaller in population, around less than 20,000, with the exception of City Everglades, 400. Now that 400 I heard was 402. I don't know why the 2, but that's what I heard lately, so we'll have to check it out. Now, we are the largest county of the 67 counties in the state of Florida, which brings in enormous responsibilities for our elected officials to have to handle. We're 2,305 square miles. You'll see on the next slide or two that converts into acreage, and we have a massive amount of acreage. The city of Naples is under 20 square miles. The city of Marco is barely over 20, and Everglades is a mere 1.2. Now, when you see that star throughout these maps, you'll see a series of these maps. That's to orientate you as where we're sitting today and how the rest of the county kind of envelops us. We have 4 areas in the county that are under current what's called replanning. One is the Urban Fringe Mixed-Use District. We call it the RF MUD. It's just to the east of Golden Gate Estates, well, north and south of Golden Gate Estates, actually. And then we've got the Rural Land Stewardship area, which is out where Ave Maria is, and a couple of new projects that are considered out there. Then Immokalee. Now, all these areas were overlaid and planned a decade, almost 2 decades ago in some cases, and we're looking at redeveloping and looking at those areas as far as making them more attuned to this market. One of the things that people say is, well, you're building so much, you're going to look like Miami. Well, no, we're not. We have a total of 1.5 million acres in Collier County. Of that, right now, 77% of that is set aside as permanent conservation and parks. Within each zoning district that's brought forward in Collier County, even more is put in the preserve area. So that doesn't count that because those are those brown areas. The brown areas are what are called entitled areas. They're planned unit developments, they're areas that are platted, they're subdivided, or they're straight zoning. That's 13%. They're not all built out. In fact, most of the sales you all are doing are in areas in that brown area. And then what is not entitled and what is not built out are the white areas. That remains most of it out east, with the exception of there's a big blob of white down on the lower left side. That's 8,000 acres, and I'll show you as we get into that some of the potential of that. But we've got less than 10% of the county that's not entitled. And that's the limitations that we have in Collier County for build-out. Our housing, not everybody lives in million-dollar condos, although there's certainly a lot of them. A lot of times we end up, prior to the recession, if you look at these tables, we had a lot of multifamily, very little single-family. After the recession and during some years, there were some changes in the rules for condominiums and guaranteeing reserves and things like that. And a lot of the development industry went and modified and went to the single-family style, and that's what's now we're getting most of in Collier County. These are scatter maps, and what they show is they're directly from the tax assessor's database. In their computer, we took them and moved them into the GIS system and then overlaid them across the county. The more intense red, the more intense we have for pricing. And of course, the coastal is the darkest. But if you look at those, the blow up of that table, we have about 187,952 units in Collier County. Now, that didn't include last year. This was done the year before. But what the trend shows is interesting because it matches a lot or follows a lot of what Cindy has said. This is that map blown up in a different manner and laid out a little bit differently. The yellow indicates what the peak price points are in the various districts in Collier County. And if you notice, most of them are between $100,000 and $200,000. That's the greatest number of, I shouldn't say price points, that's the market value attached at the tax assessor's office. And most of the districts, with the exception of District 2, use that, have that as the greatest quantity of homes they have. Now, those homes alone, just in those first three values, that's 66% of the number. That number is below 300,000 and below. That's about 122,000 homes. So if you look at affordability in that price range, and the issue with affordability is really a definition, but if you look at affordability as being under 300,000 or homes that are affordable, according to our county commissioner, Bill McDaniels, he liked to use that phrase, and I heard yesterday or Tuesday, I forgot when it was. These homes would be considered homes that are affordable, at least I would hope they would be. That bottom line in District 2, which is North Naples, this is Pelican Bay and areas like that, their highest value is 500,000 and above. City of Naples, one of their highest values is the same price range at the same amount. But notice what the city has that North Naples doesn't have. The city of Naples, in their commission district at least, has a large quantity of moderately priced homes. And that's the difference between those two. Now, the sweet spot, if you wanted to find one, is where we're not hitting it with the price range is the $400,000 to $500,000 value. All those, that's the lowest across the board. We may be getting into that now. I didn't have the statistics that Cindy had, and it sounded like we're hitting more to that higher end now, which is the piece that's been missing for quite some time. NABOR's most recent sales chart shows about a $400,000 average for single-family homes. When you look at percent increase in Collier County of property values, during the recession we had a lot of negatives, and we're still experiencing some of those. But average market value has increased in the past 17 years, 8.46. Collier County is a good investment. You don't get a return like that anywhere else. You just got to wait it out, kind of like you do everywhere else. So in the end, I think by holding property and waiting it out for some of these things to happen, you're still going to see a decent return. Population is another issue that's been a little concerning. We don't want to look like this. We're going to do everything we can not to. But what is the wealthiest county in the state of Florida? It just happens to be where you're sitting, Collier County. Our per capita income is the highest in the state of $78,000. It's the fourth in the country. Even Palm Beach was number 4. Now, that does have some ramifications because if your per capita income is that high, imagine how hard it is to survive on the minimum wage in Collier County. The minimum wage was set at a per capita income of $28,000. So there's a discrepancy right there in the wages that helps generate the problem of affordability in Collier County. Another thing that's occurred, our population has gone up in the past 6 years, 10.7%, and that mirrors the latest statistics that the county staff and a few of the other, Bieber and a few of the others have put together. From 2010 to 2030 to 2040, the 2010 to 2020, that 10.7%, if you add on the remainder of the decade, we're expected to see growth of about 17.8%. And then another 15% from 2020 to 2030. And then we're going to reach a point where we've basically matured in our growth Growth elements are going to become a little bit harder, and after that, it's about 10%. That also mirrors this particular chart. During the recession, we saw a drop-off in the amount of growth that we had in our county, and when we reached that maturity, that 2030 to 2040 time frame, we're going to reach maturation. Now, we'll still grow, but we just won't grow as rapidly. You'll find that it's maybe a little harder to develop. There's less land available. We're relying more on rebuilds. We'll be further out east, more travel. So things are going to change as we start finishing out the urban area. The urban area is just part of it. When we look at those other overlays that I started with in the beginning, we're looking at 500,000 people out east. We got 500,000 people in the urban area. We're going to be close to 1 million people when we're done. And that's a range that some people have said could be down to 800,000, could be up to 1.2. I'm of the 1.2 mindset, by the way. One of the things that's happened with our group down here is we've all gotten older, and the older people seem to like it here. I know I'm staying here, and I've gotten older here for 40 years, so it's a great place to live. New development, this is the fun part. Ave Maria. I don't know how many of you have been out there. 2005, it became its own community, and it started moving forward. They didn't start out like they wanted to. They hit the recession right off the bat, but they are going like gangbusters now. They're one of the hottest points in Collier County at this time. In fact, this shows that. That's the Ave Maria, Rural Lands West, which is a new town that's proposed out there. Orange Tree, and a parcel north of Orange Tree, a whole mile section up there. And that really composes Ave Maria, Rural Lands, and the Orange Tree area in whole. And down in the eastern part of the county, East Naples, which you hear a lot about lately because of its growth pains, Isles of Collier, Hacienda Lakes, Treviso Bay, and Fiddler's Creek. They're all the hot spots in East Naples. Now, this isn't the 2040 plan. This is 20 years down the road. This is one we're going to be finishing out over the next 20 years. In the past year, we've had 32 residential developments come on the books in 2016. The lots were approved. There's 4,182 new lots. The hot spots, again, are Ave Maria and the North Naples area, Heritage Bay, Esplanade, places like that are extremely doing well with density. And East Naples the same way, Treviso Bay, Isles of Collier, Fiddler's Creek, Hacienda Lakes. Now, when you look at the map for last year for COs, certificates of occupancy, we had 3,325 new COs last year. They were in the north area, which included Esplanade, Heritage Bay, and Marbella Lakes. And in the central East Naples area, I think sometimes it's part central. Verona Walk, Treviso Bay, and Fiddler's Creek. Again, Fiddler's Creek has diversified itself into a lot of builders. They're building very rapidly down there. They're close in town. That's part of the reason that's probably working well. You look at commercial. 76 commercial developments were approved in 2016. Where the rooftops are, the commercial follows. And we've seen that happen this past year. One of the think tanks, IHS Markit, the two companies combined, they do data analysis. They came back and said the Naples metro area is number one for growth. In 2016, we're at 4.9%. That takes not only do we have the residential, but we also end up excelling in commercial too. Senior living facilities, you saw the age range, 55 and older. Well, one of the trends is senior living facilities. They're popping up all over. In fact, Erickson Communities just purchased a place called Sienna Lakes off Orange Blossom Road. They'll be coming in with about 450 units on that location or more. They're making some changes on it. There are 56 built facilities with over 7,500 units currently for senior living. 13 are planned but not yet built. I'll try to slow down. The only thing I'm worried about, Jeff's going to get me if I do. Self-storage, you'll hold them back, I'll take your word on that. Okay, self-storage facilities, 58 are built. There's 10 planned but not yet built. Now, these are not what your mom and pop's storage facility was, where it's a chain link fence and a roll-down door. These look like office buildings, and what's unique about them is they fully air conditioning, full security, about 100,000 square feet. Now, if you take a 100,000 square feet office building, you need about 300 parking spaces with lights 25 feet high. With this, you need 12 or 15 maybe, and with lights, wall wash lights on the building, and it's all secure. So the intensity of these in the urban area that's already packed is far less. And it doesn't satisfy everybody's needs, but they are a unique operation compared to what we thought they were years ago. The area I'm going to talk about next is out where Ave Maria is, just south of Immokalee. That's Immokalee. You can see the general size and layout of Immokalee. The colors represent the different zoning districts. Ave Maria, about the same size. Rural Lands West as well. But Rural Lands West, which was formerly Big Cypress, is a stewardship area with about 22,000 acres. It's their first phase. They've got multiple phases coming. Ave Maria, it's its first phase. It has 10,000 acres under stewardship area, so it will expand, or someday I'm assuming it will. When you look at these in the land plan that was early on provided by the landowners out there and how they saw their properties develop, all those red dots are central town areas. Not necessarily a big city, but central towns. Ave Maria is right there. Rural Lands West is right there. Just those two produced 21,000 units so far in what they're asking for. By the latest census, that comes out to almost 52,000 people and 12,000 jobs in the commercial components that will go in those two towns. Now, when we get built out there to any magnitude that's shown here, we're going to have issues if we don't deal with them in planning right now. And the first one is going to be this right here. Ave Maria again, 5,000 acres first phase, 11,000 units. And like Rural Lands West, they have 2 million square feet of non-residential, which is your commercial areas, producing a lot of jobs. And then there's another project right there that's been looked at by 2 or 3 developers. No one's pursued it too far yet, but it's 645 acres, and it can also be developed with a mixture of commercial and residential. That's 951. Right now, if you build out there, you're going to come into 951 all the way from the east, down to Immokalee Road or some other corridor, and head south on 951 to get to I-75. There was a proposal to put an interchange at Everglades Boulevard. That would take out 900 properties and through eminent domain to some extent, and it would be a very time-consuming and costly effort for the taxpayers. That may not be the best thing to do, because when Big Cypress was originally planned for this location right there, they agreed to provide the land down to the Ford test track so we could have a connection eventually onto the interchange outside of that populated estates area. Hopefully that's still going to work out. They're going to be coming in with some new planning here in the next 6 months or so, and that'll be one of the things for discussion. Another place that is extremely moving real fast are these 2 spots in North Naples. We have the YMCA's looking at a branch facility down off of Immokalee Road. We've got Seed to Table by Oaks Farms. It's going to be a competitor to Whole Foods. They're doing a huge project up on it's Immokalee Road in Livingston. And over there, we've got Naples Community Hospital already has a emergency center out there in Heritage Bay. Publix just opened up in Orange Tree. And Lowe's and Home Depot, both are being talked to about contracting for that corner, which is now the Pelican Nursery. They're looking at a large box, one or the other. Both of them aren't obviously going to go there, but we don't know yet which one. And the additional square footage. So that corner and that corner of Immokalee Road and Golden Gate Boulevard is going to be a massive hub in Collier County. And right there is where we have our new entry into helping us with our job market. That's Arthrex. They got approved for the Creekside facility. They came in asking for about 200 feet high. They compromised at 122 feet. That's their campus layout. That's where their main buildings are going to go. And the other thing that happened is if you go to Trader Joe's, you use that back entrance in off Goodlet Road. Well, that road's not going to be working just like it is today. It's going to be laid out in that yellow dotted pattern, and the rest of it, the other part will go away. Arthrex needed a campus effect, so that was... Did I miss something? Oh, yeah, it will take longer to get to Trader Joe's. You're right. I'm sorry. I knew it, but I didn't know you all figured it out, so I'm glad you did. The last couple meetings I went to, where I made this presentation, a couple folks asked, what's going on in Goodlet Frank Road and Pine Ridge Road? So I thought I'd throw that into the presentation. It's that property right there. It's a project that has a Starbucks on it, has a grocery store in it, and it's got some commercial. They're looking at modifying that to add 400 dwelling units to it. They're just now getting into the process and doing what's called their neighborhood information meetings. So I don't have a lot of information on it, but folks ask what's going on. Well, that's basically it. They may drop down from the commercial because if they build the dwelling units, they won't have room for that much commercial. Now, when we look at the core of where the growth is going in Collier County, it's these area right here, 951, which is Collier Boulevard, and US 41 through East Naples. those areas that I've just outlined there are your hot intersections. Heritage Bay up on top, Hacienda Lakes and Rattlesnake Hammock and I-75 in the middle, and then the US 41 and Collier intersection down on East Trail. And if you see that those areas are all the blue areas, they're considered receiving areas. Each one can have a full gamut of development in it, including commercial, industrial, and residential. That particular one right there is 8,000 square feet. 6L's Farms owns it. And by the way, Disney is not on record of being involved in it, but everywhere I go, that's one of the questions from the audience is, did you hear Disney's buying in there? No. I checked all the records. There's nothing there. Now, Fiddler's Creek is putting in a shopping center. They're at least requesting to put a shopping center. It'll be the furthest east grocery store in Collier County if it's approved to go in that location. It'll be directly across from where one of these receiving areas are, one of the blue future towns. These are the projects that are offering commercial square footage. These are just a handful of what's in that corridor, the 951 and 41 corridor. The interchange at 951 and I-75 has over 1 million unbuilt square feet of commercial and light industrial. These other projects have almost 2 million square feet of commercial. This is what's left to build. When you look at the interchange itself, this plan was developed by DOT based on the approved zoning, so they could figure out what are we going to do with this interchange. That interchange right there is over 1 million square feet. When you look at the residential in those big projects in those two corridors, there's over 13,000 acres zoned and shovel-ready with over 9,000 units. Now, the 9,000 units to go. What you see on the right with the two numbers with a slash in the middle, the number on the left is what they were approved to put in. The number on the right is what they got left to build. And the most common product is single-family and townhouses. Redevelopment, that was our new development is right there, and redevelopment is up there. We're going to do new development first. Down at the intersection of US 41 and Collier Boulevard. Do y'all know what a Wawa gas station is? God, I didn't know what it was till somebody in the audience told me one day. And it's a gas station, but I guess the food's real good. So, okay, because other gas stations aren't received so well. Hobby Lobby's already in. It's been there about a year over in Lely. Got an Outback there and a Fresh Market. Fresh Market has been doing so good, they have to bring trucks, refrigerator trucks in the back and keep produce and stuff in there so when they sell out, they can move it in because they can't keep enough in the store. East Naples is hopping. In the shopping center across the street where the Hobby Lobby and the Publix are, there's a big unoccupied building that can be a large box. You got a Starbucks coffee that's open, Polo Tropical, Roadhouse, Chipotle, and Payway's about to go in. And if you are tired of going to whole paycheck, Aldi's is going in right there. Yeah, well, my wife goes there, and they're not the cheapest groceries in the world, but Aldi's has got a good competitive edge. When you look at the project diagonally across that intersection, you've got a new shopping center went in with a PetSmart, Michaels, Steinmart, Ross, and it's been packed. Aspen Dental is going in one of the out parcels. Supercuts is going in front of the Walmart and Mattress Firm, and in those out parcels, they have a bunch of other property available. Redevelopment infill, this is the big ticket right now in Collier County. This is a picture of downtown Fort Lauderdale. Now, you see all the high-rises? That's downtown. Along the beach, you see those high-rises? That's Naples, because that's what we do in Naples. We have high-rise along the beach at 200 feet, but our downtown is limited to about 75 feet. And that's about to change, or at least it's going to be requested to change. And it's this area right here that's being focused on. It's called the Gateway Triangle. It's in Commission Districts 1 and 4, and at least the whole area of corridor is. That's the Gateway Triangle that's outlined in blue. The red is commercial. The white core is residential. There's a unique possibility on how to deal with that. This strip zoning along the side has been requested to have a moratorium. Instead, we're going to do a corridor study and look at how to make that more compatible with the residential that build up around it. Residential went in first. Rooftops generate the commercial. Commercial is finally ready to go in. And, of course, you get that conflict between the two entities. When you look at that triangle in a blow-up, the red is the whole triangle itself, and everything left in red on this is commercial. The core, right there, that's residential. We have an opportunity to take a high-intensity residential, incentivize it with density, so that the people that want to work in those businesses around here would be real close to where they work. And that will help our traffic problems. That's something that we're hopefully going to look at in the corridor study that's going to be coming up. That yellow is where some new uses are looking, the mini triangle where we got some activity. That green up there is where some restaurants were just approved by Naples. We have a controversial racetrack right there. Porsche dealership up there. Down here, Walmart's doing a $4 million remodeling on their facility. And then down here, we had a big box and Starbucks looking at that location. And I was asked one time about that all the clearing that's been done behind Bell's. That's for 21 single-family units. The concept plan for the triangle is right here, Davis and 41. This is what the one group came in. They were going to purchase the piece in front. Someone else purchased that, so we have two separate developers. The one in the back is looking like, this is one of their concept plans. They're looking at 150 to 160 feet. That breaks the mold for height in the urban area. And if it does, that'll be the beginning of how we can look at intensifying our urban area and adding more density to it. Right now, this particular facility is in for a growth management plan change and a planned unit development. They're looking at about 210 residential units, 152 hotel suites, and a series of retail and office uses. Now, the guy in front, he sees that and says, what am I going to do? I need to do something to be competitive, to get an edge, so I'm going to go higher. He's looking at 300 and some odd feet. I'm just kidding. That would be a disaster. No, we're not going to do that. That's what got approved. That is approved at 112 feet. So it is now the highest approved project in Collier County. It hasn't been built yet. They have their site development plans been approved. That's what got us here today. They've demoed this property and they're ready to start vertical construction. They need a building permit. Their project's going to have about 15,000 square feet of commercial top and bottom, 12 hotel rooms and 24 residential units. Layout, that's the tower. Behind it will be I think it's a 4-story parking garage right behind it right there. When we look at the new Hyatt House as you enter Naples, right across the street, Naples Planning Board just approved a restaurant facility. They'll have 5 restaurants, outdoor rooftop dining, 450 seats, and about 300 parking spaces. That's where that parking lot, the dirt parking lot is right now, so that's got to be an improvement. The racetrack that everybody had heard about for quite some time, this is the location. It's on Palm and 41, right across from the triangle. That has not been approved yet or denied. It's still waiting to be heard, so it should be heard, I don't know, probably after the season starts up again. Northwest corner of Davison Airport, that new building you see going up where the telephone building used to be, that's the Porsche facility. Courthouse Shadows, directly across from the courthouse, Sam's Club. Sam's Club was geared up to go in there. They came in for the zoning. The zoning, most of it got approved, but Sam says, you know, Walmart just invested in another company like Amazon, $2 billion, so all new capital improvements are pulled back for a while. The developer of that property was in talking to me yesterday. They're looking at other particular tenants right now, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that property. But right there, my favorite, I wish there was one in this building, Starbucks. They're putting a Starbucks in at that location. They came in and got the change to do that. One of the issues that pops up now is conversions for golf courses. If you're selling a golf course, if it's a straight zone project or if you're selling on a golf course, that's a little touchy right now. We have several golf courses that are looking at conversions. We just passed new rules for those conversions. We have 69 courses in the county, 13,000 acres, and 4 of them have said, we're thinking about converting. Riviera, Golden Gate, Evergreen, and Lakewood. Those are not in planned unit developments. That's a harder animal to overcome. These are what's called straight zoning. And in Collier County, we have a series of those. I'll show you the list in a minute. The first one that started off was the Golden Gate Golf Course. Now, if you bought on this course or you amenitized, you paid a premium for your site. You were taxed on that premium. This is one of the properties that wants to convert. Their plan to come in to convert was that. Pretty intense, and you'd be looking at someone else's backyard. Right now, the new plans, new scheme, the new regulations that went into effect would provide 100-foot buffers, and that's how the buffers would lay out. There'd be still plenty of developable land on this particular property. I'm not sure that they're going to abide by the buffering on this particular one because they came in before the regulations were put into effect, but that's something that's not been resolved yet. Now, the reason we picked 100 feet is because of this appraisal of how how our amenities values match up with the tax assessor's office. I wish I had Cindy's opportunity to talk with her on this because landscape buffers and green space, add about a 31% margin to the value of properties. Golf adds about a 31% margin. So by leaving 100% green space in there, we are doing somewhat to protect the value of those homes. These are actually 10. NBC missed one. Now we have 11. The ones in yellow are the ones that have already suggested they want to convert. The ones in orange or golden have not come in yet. Jeff, how am I doing? Oh, good. Okay. Roads. This is something you need to know, because this is the part that tells you when your clients say, are you going to be like California? You're going to run out of water? You're going to run out of this? You're going to run out of that? Well, no, we're not. We got a good handle on it. County government's doing an excellent job. That area you see on here in red, that's the hot corridor right now in Collier County for things that have got to happen. Now that arrow, that's Immokalee Road and Collier Boulevard east-west direction. And that arrow, that is the Collier Boulevard and US 41 north-south direction. I talked to some business owners, and I've also talked to some people in the residential communities around there. They didn't know what those arrows mean. I said, well, you're in for a surprise. You're going to have an overpass. And that overpass, I hit that button too fast. Give me a minute to bring it back, because it's a really beautiful overpass. There it is. Now, wouldn't that be nice in your backyard? No, okay, well, I can't do it twice, can I, Bill? Okay. Well, the overpass that we built at Airport Road and Golden Gate Parkway, that's the style we'll continue with. That's what it'll look like. And it doesn't really do a lot of damage for the people around it, but hopefully we'll keep with the same trend. The FDOT is looking at an overpass. This is a real one. At the I-75 and Collier Boulevard, they're going to go in and change and put clover leaves in two directions. And down here, they're going to add flyovers so that when you come off or go on, you go up over Davis Boulevard, so you no longer deal with that traffic. That construction is supposed to start in 2021. One of the things the county has done in looking forward is reserve some space called Benfield Road. It's 1 mile east of 951 or Collier Boulevard. That's going to be a new corridor to take you up from Manatee Road, south US 41, all the way up till you get to I-75, up over I-75, then you can tie into Wilson Boulevard or go back to 951 at that point. We've gone ahead and acquired areas to already, some of it's already built out in Hacienda Lakes. Now, solid waste may not sound like something tasty. I guess it isn't. We build these recycling firms, places all over the county right now. We have 5 built. We got 1 more in permitting and 2 more. We're looking for locations to go, and this map reflects the different colors where they are. Well, what's nice is that when I came here 40 years ago, they were saying we got to move our landfill. We got to go way out east and find a landfill where nobody will bother us. That's a huge, huge undertaking and cost in today's world. Because of those recycling areas, we only divert 14% of our solid waste to the landfill, and we've got 50 more years out of the current landfill we have. That's a tremendous savings to taxpayers in the long term and short term. Another thing that did, we have a huge amount of collected hazardous waste, over 1,000 tons last year alone. Now, what that has done, we're number 1 in America and least polluted city in the country. Cleanest city in the state and the cleanest and safest city in the country. Now, that's a good news thing that hopefully people moving here realize they're not moving next to a very, what's that, Flint, Michigan? Places like that. 2 minutes? I need just 5. Solid water. One of the big issues in a lot of states is water. Right now, this is what's called a saltwater interface. That's where the hydraulic pressure from the ocean meets the pressure from the fresh water inside, and the two of them stop mixing as much right at that location. Now, what that means is if you start building up through climate change or anything else, the hydrology in the ocean, you're going to have to move that saltwater interface. Well, right now, most of our wells are already out far enough, so that's not going to happen in any reasonable amount of time. It's way out in Golden Gate Estates. We have some wells where you see here, those are the city of Naples' wells, but they also got wells out in the estates, so hopefully the idea of saltwater won't be a problem because it's still usable. It just takes more to refine it. And I got to rush. Jeff is looking at me. Airports, this is a Marco Island Airport. We added a runway there. We're going to move the terminal. And when we do, we're going to be opening it up for regular flights, maybe 2 or 3 a week, but at least there'll be something more coming out of there. Parks. We have over 1 million square feet of national parks in our county, and 62 private city park, county park sites, and 8 of them are part of our schools. Beaches, 10 locations in the county, 33 in the city. The difference is the county has parking garages and large parking areas. The city has blocks for parking. Law enforcement, this is one of the best news items we could possibly have, and I wanted to get to this one before Jeff hit me. 12 out of 67 counties in the state of Florida had a reduction in crime in 2015. Now, I thought this was good. 5% reduction. That's due to the sheriff's office doing a great job, but that's not good. This is good. In 2016, they had another 7.8%. So why couldn't they have done that before? But we have a lower crime rate in spite of all the growth, in spite of all the changes in our society and everything else, and that is really good news for people that want to move to Collier County. And Jeff, I've got 1 or 2 more quick slides. We just completed a $50 million project in LASIP in the Lely or in the East Naples area. If you are selling homes in this area in red, those homes will have less propensity to flood right now because that LASIP project, when the rainy season comes up, is supposed to help channel all the water away. There were problems out there, and we hopefully fixed it. Schools, just a note on schools, there's 8 more elementary schools planned, 3 middle schools and 4 high schools. Areas in red are where the schools are going to go. And this is probably the last slide. It's another good news. For 8 years, the county has kept static our millage rate. So we've not paid more taxes, but we have because of our assessed values, but not because the millage rate changed, and that's important. That just means we're paying more because our houses are worth more. And that, I think, Jeff, gets us where we need to be.